Welcome to Human Valley. I'm your host and tour guide, Nikiki. This is the expedition where we strive to share knowledge, encourage the talent, support the village by just being human. Humbly,
in the same city or state, just to come together and kind of empower ourselves and our family, make the village strong.
Okay, cool. And then I'm gonna bring it to my next to oldest sister, Kenya. Let her introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kenya Lott. I am the second oldest of the siblings. And let's see a little bit about me. I have three sons, one of which who is a freshman in college. And then I've got a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old. So one at every stage. I won't retire for forever, but I don't know what else to say. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with my siblings. This is our first go at this, so just excited to see what unfolds.
Okay, cool. Bringing it to my next sister, Tasanji, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tasanji. I am the infamous middle child. Lots of good things to talk about, lots of experiences. I'll bring some lightness to this conversation because everybody's being real serious here. So I like long walks on the beach. I really love to chill on Sunday, so this is very special to me doing this with my siblings on Sunday, because this is my Sabbath. I mean, I'm not churchy, but this is my personal Sabbath where I do what I want to do today. So this is obviously something I really want to do with my siblings, and I'm super excited to share our world with everybody.
All right, cool. And then I'm gonna bring it to my youngest sister, but older than me, Shaipu.
Yo, it's your girl Shaipu. Happy to be sitting here with my siblings. I think I'm the quietest of everybody, so you'll probably hear the least from me. But I'm just excited about the talks that we're gonna have, and I'm happy to see their faces and get ready to see them on a regular basis.
All right, cool. I'm Kasim Ludi, the youngest and only boy in this circle. So, I'm going to bring a male perspective. I'm a father. I've been divorced. I've been married. I've had lots of relationship experience and life experience in general. And I'm just going to make sure that we keep the conversation flowing. We stay on task and topic, and we're going to make it happen from there. So, saying all that, let me dive into the first topic and just give you guys some ideas on what we want to talk about today. I'm gonna give you several, and then we can kind of decide what to tackle first. So we're talking about, what do you think of foundational Black Americans and the new term that you hear as a buzzword? We also can talk about the disconnect between human males and human females. We probably will talk about it on more of a Black stance because we're all Black people here, but we want to talk about it as an American culture. And right now, there's a disconnect with all people, with usually Americans, kind of. We also had the idea to talk about how to heal the village and connect better as a group. So to start, who would like to start, and what do you guys think you want to talk about?
Let's jump into the second topic.
The second topic, human males and human females.
Yeah, okay. Why not? Let's do this.
Right. Let's start with the drama.
Yeah.
Drama. Let's start with first things first. I'm so glad that you said human males and human females. Fun fact, grown human females are called women, and there's a lot of men in our community, and unfortunately women too, who seem to think we are just females and not women. Mm-hmm. So right off the bat, I have a problem with people calling me a female when I am a woman. Thank you.
Explain that. Let's dive into that. Explain that a little further.
Yeah, let's dive into that.
Because pretty much almost all species on this planet we call Earth can be gender identified, right? Male or female, based on their organs or biology, right?
Yeah.
So of course, we're first of all the only race that tries to redefine that. But then another step is that the term female exists for every species. And if the term female exists for every species, then calling a human woman a female dehumanizes her, right? Because the only difference between her and all the other females on Earth is that she's human. So to reduce her to a female is dehumanizing. And
Okay.
I believe there are some people out there who are doing that intentionally. And I do believe there's just a whole lot of other people who are real ignorant to the fact that they do that. And I'm highly offended when I'm like, excuse me, I'm not a female, I'm a woman.
Okay, that's not the way we were taking this conversation, but I like that you brought that up. So how does anybody else feel about that? What are your thoughts as women?
I'm indifferent about it. I mean, I'm indifferent about it. I guess for me, it's not that deep. I am a female, but I'm also a woman. I mean, I guess I didn't, maybe in certain circumstances, I might be offended by it, but as describing it as a topic in this conversation, I wasn't. But I feel like Kenya's point is valid. That's why I wanted to hear about it. Like, why, and it makes sense. It makes sense. I have never been in an instance where I feel like someone was using that term to describe me and dehumanize me. So that's why I wouldn't have said immediately that I would be offended by it. But from what Kenya explained to me, there could be circumstances where that happens.
Okay. Now the question comes to mind to me, and this is way kind of sliding the topic, but the only reason why that should be an issue is because the fluidity of male and femalehood in the United States, particularly now, people being able to change their being male or female, we just not going off biology. And that part to me is completely wrong. But, everybody has their own opinion. I'd like to hear you guys. Anyone?
I don't have a problem with gender or people trying to, people living out loud. They live their truth. However they identify, they can identify as a Jordan shoe for all I care. I just don't like things when they become an agenda that everybody should follow. Do your thing. Like, you don't bother me, I won't bother you.
Yeah.
So
see, this is not,
I
agree with that. This is really not a gay or straight issue, because gay people are living their truth, straight people are living their truth.
Right.
When a person physically says, I'm not gay, I'm an actual woman, when they're a man, that's a different story. That's where the line gets crossed. And so
I guess that's personal, Kasim, like from a personal perspective, or from, what normal society would consider, spiritual perspective. People believe that God made females and God made males. But there's this new age of people who have completely taken that out of the equation and made it to where you need to be okay with people being whoever they want to be. If I want to be this or I want to be that, I'm fine with that. But I don't like them trying to make that normal for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the part I have a problem with. Don't try to make it normal for everybody. Like, I went to the nail salon the other day, and there was like a 3 or 4-year-old little black boy there. And Kimmy was like, Mom, it shouldn't matter that he's black. But his mom was white. And he had his 3 or 4 years old. He had his mom wasn't getting her nails done, but he was getting his nails done, got his nails painted pink and his toes painted blue. And I was very pissed off by it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is a 3-year-old child. So to me, that's a parent pushing something on people. I don't like that. And I don't like everything on TV. Like, we have to make this such an inclusive thing. And influence people to think that this is how it should be. That's private. The taking the privacy out of your choices, you know what I'm saying, is a problem to me. Don't make your stuff everybody's stuff.
Circles back to the initial female statement. And I have to say, Kenya and I have talked about this before, but I can say, like to Sanji, I'm pretty indifferent. When I think of a female, I think of the basic description of a female: someone that bears eggs, that gives birth to the child, and that's all that I look at it as. But after the conversation I had with Kenya previously, and her also explaining how that type of word makes her feel, I can understand that. There's lots of words that are used nowadays that may make one person feel one way and one feel another. And I respect someone's feelings when it comes to that. It just may not mean that I feel the same way. So,
and the good news is that we can totally respect that. Like, I can totally respect that not everybody is going to see it the way that I see it.
Yep.
But that doesn't negate my experience and how I feel and what I
absolutely.
think.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically, you're fit. So let's get this clear. So basically, you're offended to be called a female because there's dudes walking around here saying they females. A lot of things as females, you want to be called very specific, a woman.
Woman.
But there are
I can
men
see that.
being called women too. I mean, women can be used in an offensive way too. The word woman, I guess.
I guess it could.
As a man, I think that being a woman is
like
empowering.
What does that mean?
I think for me, I think about not the way it's being used. The bigger issue for me actually is the fact that only one species of female are women. It's us.
Yeah, you got to be human to be a woman.
Exactly.
That's the point.
So
you have to be human to be a woman.
I don't necessarily care about the gender identity part of it. I care about the fact that when you say female, you could be talking about, and I know you're not, but from my perspective, I'm like, so what kind of female are you talking about here? We're talking about, orangutans, goats, what kind of female are we talking about here? Because there's only one that's called a woman. That's human, and that's who you're dealing with ultimately. The rest of that.
All right. Any final words from our elder sister?
Basically, there are very valid points on all. I really appreciate that. It brought open a different perspective on even the female. And this is why I say that, is there a disconnect? So here we show that there may be a disconnect just between women understanding that concept or feeling some type of way or not feeling some type of way about being a female. Very valid points that, hey, only a human being can be a woman. So I do appreciate that. And definitely, it seems like there is a disconnect, not just in the fact of the female and male, but just as the female woman.
Yeah, that's all a good point.
We'll have to discuss that further.
Absolutely. I'm going to take it to that to the foundational Black American thing. This doesn't tie exactly into it, but I know I let you text you guys last night that I had started watching that Hebrews to Negroes. And it's very interesting. It's not very fun to watch, like it's more like a documentary. They basically have so much reference points in there that it would take forever to go through. Like literally, he talks for a minute, then he shows 10 Bible scriptures with usually some, white guy reading it. And then he goes back and explains why this is not referring to them. This is actually referring to this part of Africa and the people that lived in this part. So that was an interesting concept, but it all ties up to the end. It's like 3.5 hours long. And the reason why I'm tying it back to foundational Black American is because foundational Black American, the term itself means Black people who are from the United States. You're not from Africa, essentially. You're not from the Caribbean or from South America. It means that you're born and raised for hundreds of years here in the United States. So
I can give you the term that's ADOS.
That's another term. it's a little bit of a bastardized term, but I think it's a little bit interesting. ADOS
Because
is
of the S?
American descendants of slaves. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's
So
what I was
so this
saying.
so the slave part of it, the reason why I say that's bastardized is because the slaves part of it is not part of it. It doesn't have to be part of it.
Mhm.
Slaves are people who physically came from that area of Africa. Uh, Supposedly, a lot of our people were already living in this country before it was a country. Before
Not
it was,
supposed it, not
yeah.
supposed it. It is a fact.
Not supposed.
I
I
will,
agree.
and it is
My
a
personal
further
belief is that
discussion.
that's true.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So going back to Olmecs and Aztecs and all that stuff, when you look at their artifacts, they actually show Black people, and it's not even like a question in a lot of cases. So this is kind of a bigger conversation, but foundational Black American just means, to simplify it, that your history goes beyond the 1870 census, and you can track your family back to that 1870 census here in the United States of America, because that takes it back to before slavery, and then we consider slavery is before there was a country. So before slavery, there was no country. There was no such thing as the United States.
That is correct. There was no such thing.
Yeah. So that's just to sum it up. But let's give some thoughts on the term itself and how you feel about it. Who would like to go first, or I can just pick someone.
What's the term
What's
again?
the term? What term?
Foundational Black American.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can Google it.
Foundational Black Americans. So that would be like our name.
Yes, it'd be like a name instead of. Now, it's in Black encompasses it, but when foreign people come here, they call themselves Black. So we get mixed in with those people, including the negative connotations that come along with it. And that's the reason for the differentiation, because the negative connotation brings us down without any recourse. We have no recourse to fix it.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that name. It's cool. I appreciate you explaining it. I'll let somebody else give their thoughts.
Okay. Pause for the cause.
I mean, I like it. I mean, it gives it more of a prestigious kind of name instead of just Black Americans or African Americans. I guess it's just something new that I haven't heard of, so I have to look into it a little bit more. But it sounds interesting.
Is someone proposing the use of that name?
Yes, there is. It's a big movement actually. There's going to be a conference here in Dallas for in May over Labor Day. Is it Labor Day weekend? I'm not sure, but it's in May, like the second or third weekend in May. So there's a big conference here in Dallas that I know me and David are going to go to. So I'm sure Shaipu is going to end up going. And Nikki probably going to go too, because Nikki knows she involved in everything like that too. So there's going to be some interesting things to come out of it. They've been having conferences for maybe like 3 or 4 years, talking about it since just a little bit before COVID. And like I said, it's really the main topic is to differentiate all the negative connotation you get from just being Black. So in general, when you go to college or when you go to become a doctor, foreign people come here and believe that they work harder, they do better. I'm talking about even foreign Black people. They believe that they're doing something miraculous. But what actually happens is they're doing what foundational Black Americans did in the 40s and 50s.
Absolutely.
Their achievements are new and fresh to them, and they feel very proud of them. But these are things that we've accomplished a long time ago. So when they come here and the marginalized part of their community does something wrong, like if they some of those guys who beat up the cop, most of them were Caribbean guys, but they don't say that on the news. They're not going to say that on the news. They're going to say 5 Black guys killed and beat up another Black guy. And that connotation brings all of us down without the differentiation. So to me, there's a need for it because everyone else in the culture are already tribal. Black and white people in America, they're not tribal. Even white people, like I said, if you come to America and you're white, you can just be white. If you come to America and be Black, you can just be Black. But the negative connotation from those people brings white or Black down when they do crimes. So to differentiate that, you have to have some kind of group
I think we need to stop
culture.
using the term black.
Well, what other term can you use? There is not a
Because
term.
out of what you said, what gives the negative connotation is black. So we need to stop using the term black.
I respect that. I heard a lot of people say that. So, but what you can't take something away without putting something else in its place.
Right.
So, what do you suggest?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if we could use another color, it would be brown. You know, if it's necessary for it to be a color, you know, if it's necessary for it to be another hue, it can be brown. You know, we are brown. We're
Yes.
all shades of brown. Nobody is really black for real. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, or some other kind of word, you know,
The
some
Latinx
other word,
community has
some
already
other
claimed
word that
brown.
gives
That's
homage
exactly what I
to,
was going to say,
hold on,
Kenya.
some other word
Right
that
there.
gives homage,
Right
some
there.
other word
Right
that
there.
gives homage to our foundation that we've built in the United States. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Because if there was no United States before slavery, then our name needs to be something that gives us credit for building the United
let me tell you what
States.
that name is. That name is American. We should just be considered Americans, but no one, we can't make other people do that.
What did you say, Mike?
That's what I was
Mike
gonna say. That's what I was
said
gonna
what?
say.
Make
It's
other
Mike just
people
really,
do that.
What's that?
that's what I was,
Just like Jamaicans are not Jamaican Americans, just like Haitians are not we should just be able to be called American, but we can't force other people to do that. So we don't have an
that's what I was
option
gonna
there.
say. It's really a media thing. It is really, like you said, the way that they showed it on TV was 4 black guys killed a black, or
Yeah,
hurt a
but
black
black
cop
is
or
being
whatever.
the word black is being associated with something bad.
Right.
So
But because these guys were of not white looking background, that is what they used.
yeah,
Black, period. So it took that another tick in the black race across America.
Yeah.
When 95% of the time, Caribbean people don't even consider themselves black,
Right.
true.
American or not. So,
Now, I'm gonna say this though. The reason why I wanted to frame it before when I said white and black by immigrant crime, white and black both get brought down. Because of our media, they pretend that white immigrant crime never happens. In fact, they turn it into a pride thing with the mafia, with the Irish mafia, even with the Asian mafia. Those are considered white crimes that they've turned into like kind of hero worship, like Billy the Kid and shit like that. These are things that they turn criminals into icons. And that's to keep whiteness pure. But the same exact thing happens with blackness, and there's no way to keep it pure because we don't control the media. There's no way to pure it up. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting topic for that purpose. And a bigger topic we can go on for hours and hours on, but that's a big one there too. Anybody else want to have some final comments on that? Because I think that's a good way to figure out what if it's not black, we have to have a replacement. Foundational Black American kind of just differentiates you from the menage of all blackness, being able to, you know, when there's degenerate black stuff going on in another country, that's the only way to disassociate it from us.
I would say, my final comment on this, I would say what bothers me the most about our history and these labels is probably a large number of Black Americans are actually from Native American descent.
Absolutely.
And when you look at it, look at the media and you look at everything that's displayed, you never see a black face Native American, or you never see any of that anywhere. They would rather use someone that looks Hispanic to use them as a Native American if they're not using Native Americans for movies and things like that. But even when you see it, like it's the Native Americans that look like what they show on TV,
they're flat
don't
out
even
white.
claim,
Yeah.
don't even claim there to be black or dark skinned Native Americans also.
Yeah. Yeah. For example, I agree with that example because one thing that you don't hear of, like you hear about slavery in all the islands, but in the United States, slavery didn't last that long in Florida because they had the Seminole Wars, and those are literal slave rebellions. Even though they call it the Seminole Wars, Seminoles are a complete Black group of partially slaves and partially Native Americans. Once the Seminoles got pushed out of Florida, there was really not much slavery going on in Florida at all because of that for a very short time. And that's how Oklahoma and, they made the 5 civilized tribes moved west before that, basically out of the United States, because that was not part of the United States at the time. These are actually Black
part of the 13
Native
colonies, because technically we were not the United States of
It
America.
wasn't even the United States yet. Yeah, that's true. It was not the United States yet. So this was before the Civil War, not Civil War. This was before the Revolutionary War and all that. So yeah, one of our little villages with our kids and family first, but to instill what we need to instill in them so they can do the same with the next person and on down the line. So let's just talk about that a little bit on the home front.
Education is the number one thing. Educating your children on not just the present, but also the past and what we want the future to look like.
Okay. Education is a big thing. In fact, while you're on that topic, I'm planning on sending Kasim either to FAMU for 1 year, or I'm sending him to Prairie View for 1 year right now. That's what we're talking about. One of those, just so he can have a good year of the experience. The education is okay, career-wise, but he's definitely going to get a sense of his own heritage, his own people at the level he's at, So we looking at Prairie View A&M and we looking at FAMU right now.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Is Prairie View that's a HBCU?
Yes.
It's a HBCU. It's just north of Houston.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try that out.
Yay! I hope he goes to FAMU so I can come down there.
All right, but so on that topic, what else can we do to heal? Education. What else?
We have to find a way to bring Black men and Black women together. We got to get back together. The numbers and our communities, and it is really, really distressing to see that over 70% of the babies in our community are born out of wedlock. That the majority of our homes are led by single mothers. And not that there's anything wrong with those things in and of themselves, but the kind of the cumulative effect of those being trans ongoing for decades now has really put a strain on relationships between men and women in our community, as well as being able to raise the children in our community to lead the next generation. And so I think we have to bring it back to that relationship between men and women. How can we get people to value marriage again in our community, and to raising healthy children, well-educated children in our community? Starts with the foundation of mom and dad.
I agree with that completely. I think that's the big thing. I actually looked up this little thing I watched on Instagram earlier today. I'm gonna play it, see if y'all can hear it. I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear it, but if not, we'll see.
One of every 3 marriages in this country, Black or white, ends in a divorce in 18 months. They say it used to be if you got divorced, something was wrong with you. But when you have a stat this high, something must be going on in society. I now want to explain what that is. When America believed in agriculture, America believed in extended family. When America believed in the factory, industrialism, America believed in the nuclear family. But now that America believes in the computer, now America believes in the single parent family. Make sure you see my analysis. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. There was more than love in these relationships. There was some money involved here. Our grandparents worked the fields together, had economic reason to stay together, and so they did. In the factory, man works in the factory, woman takes care of children. Economic reason again to stay together. But in this new economy, where you now have women working just as much, if not more, than men, you now hear women telling men, I don't need you, got my own job. Do what I want to do when I want to do it. And we're now doing it very well and by ourselves. You know the number one song in the band a couple of years ago? Ain't nothing
wrong with the rent. Now that's from like the 80s or something like that. But what I'm telling you, did y'all hear it clearly?
Yeah.
I heard it, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you like this. that means this is just about capitalism. Now, being that we're Black, we have the biggest casualties from this, but this affects everybody. All the white families have the exact same problem. You know what I mean? Because it's an American problem. So for capitalism purpose, he's just basically saying, we needed cousins and aunties and everybody else to work them fields. We needed to have an extended family for that purpose. When it became more of an industrial society where we produced rugs and blankets and coats, we needed a husband and wife to make that, because a husband had to take care of the work, a wife had to take care of the family. So we needed them to be together. Now we have a computer age society. Everybody needs to be single, because the more single people we get, the more money everybody can make. What's your thoughts on those? Because that seems spot on for me. That's the reason why.
Except the family.
Yeah, we don't need a family anymore because you can't, because family makes less money. Listen, I'm divorced.
I get you.
Me and Christy had a lot of money when we was both together. Now we pay for 2 separate houses, 2 separate lives. That means that we're spending way more money. So that leaves less. So now my daughter paying for her college is very difficult, for everybody. Now paying for Kasim's college is very difficult. Now paying for Kashar bugging me about getting her a new car. It's difficult. It's not an easy decision to make like it was before. I just do it. I don't even give a shit. You know what I mean? Because it would be, we have so much expended, so much extra money. It was not a thought. You know what I mean? So the dynamic has changed dramatically. And now I'm going to be a little controversial to add a layer to it. This is not a man problem. This is choices that marketing has made for women to put this in this position. I don't believe men give a shit about this stuff. I think that this is a woman thing, and it's created by women, and it's good for capitalists, whoever the businesses that make that money.
Okay, let me make sure I understood.
The last part is serious, and I know y'all don't like that, but that's a fact.
No. So when you say it's a woman's problem, do you mean we created the problem, or we need to fix the problem?
You created the problem and you fixed the problem. Now the problem is more created by capitalists, by people, by higher businesses that can press down. Hey, I can pay you more. Hey, I can give you more, but I need you to focus on working for me, not taking care of your family. That doesn't incentivize women to not give a shit about family or husbands. So that part I agree with. But what I'm saying is it makes, I think it makes it very difficult, because that's a woman's choice. It's not a man's choice. Men still act the same way they've been acting for I don't know, 100 years. Men have become more feminine but that's also a woman thing. If single mothers are raising these men, they become less like men. They start behaving more like women. They start bickering more like women. They start having some of those kind of issues, and that's generational. There's reasons behind this, but those are bigger factors we can discuss another day.
Why you be acting
like
that?
Problem. This is a woman problem. It's not a man problem at all.
Like that. You weren't raised by no single mother.
I guess
I don't act like that. When do I? If I acted like that, I would still be married. Trust me. That's the difference.
You be bickering.
Nah, not at all. I just let shit go. Not at all. I don't let disrespect fly. Period.
I can't say that what you're saying is 100% inaccurate, Kasim, and it does. There are a lot of women that think that they are so successfully single-minded that they don't need anybody else unless they get this check mark box. And there are a lot of women that say, I don't need a man, I don't need this. But, and those are the ones that may have identified through what they see on TV or what's been influenced or what's been happening around us all of our lives. They may be influenced by that economy that wants them to subliminally separate and increase money in certain ways. But then there's the other women that their family is their life, and they still work hard, and they're still successful, and they still are great mothers and great wives, and can be examples for others. And then there are mothers that them being single is not their fault. Them being single, I'm not saying that they didn't have some part in it, but it's not always 100% their fault. There are plenty of situations where there are single mothers because The dad didn't just want to be around. What do you think these mothers that raise these sons? No, you're looking at this from.
All right, to
Okay,
recap
so
real
really
quick.
quick,
Go ahead.
just to wrap it up,
You
all
got it.
I'm saying is the problem that I have when you make that kind of comment is the generalization of it. And I get it. Everybody has their own opinions about life and how things are. But I feel like when you have a couple who is committed to being a partner in a relationship, whatever role needs to be taken care of is going to be taken care of.
Respect that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Respect. I got a lot of
I agree with that.
respect.
But that is also non-traditional anymore. So that's so yeah. So that means that there's a
Agreed.
lot of men. There's a lot of men who flat out just won't accept it, and there's a lot of women who
Agreed.
don't provide that. They don't provide it, but they still have the expectations. They don't provide it. It doesn't work.
Don't provide what?
Okay, if it becomes non-traditional, that means that the woman needs to start paying all these bills. And when you go out to dinner, they pay for dinner, and the man takes a more of a I don't even know if you can't call it feminine, whatever you want to call it, of a home caregiver role. There, since women decide to when they're in that position, they still don't want to pay. That's as simple as it gets. So
Well,
and
I
really
think
most men don't want you to anyway. Most men would rather get a cheaper woman than keep you. That's a fact. Because that's how I am. I realize I would much rather have a woman that makes less money to give me peace.
let me ask you this. So you're saying that women aren't willing to share the load? Is that what you're saying? Women don't want to.
No,
So
no.
so let's say you're in a relationship. I'm going to say marriage because to me, I have a very traditionalist idea. I about relationships at this point in my life. I don't need to live with you unless we're married.
I
Period.
feel
Right. So so let's just say a husband and wife make the same amount of money. Okay, so both of them are bringing finances to the household, into the
yeah.
household. So you're saying that in that scenario, there's a lot of women who still would want the husband to pay all the bills. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely. And I'll give you guys a direct example. You guys know me. You know, Chrissy made good money, and really, in reality, we always lived basically off of my salary. Now the money would move around because we stick it all in the same account, but essentially we were able to go on these little trips and go and do a lot of fun family stuff because we had it sitting there extra.
Right.
So in no time did she feel like she was paying for it, but she was paying for things too, because it's blended in an account kind of. That part
Right.
made it feel better for everybody. But when we go somewhere physically and it's time to pull you out your wallet, I'm pulling it out of my wallet. You know what I'm saying? The card comes from me. The signing comes from me. You know, and that's just a good feeling for the man and for the woman because she feels protected and provided for.
Yes.
That's what's missing. When certain women nowadays, they need a little bit more control of their own finances, especially as you get older. And if you're used to controlling your own finances, it becomes a difficult thing for a woman to relinquish that. And that really takes away, you can't have a relationship. A man to come over and hang out with you and enjoy hanging out, but he's not going to be in a relationship with you because of that, because of the difference in perspective. Like I said,
But she's also used to paying her own bills. So that's the part I'm not getting is why she would have a problem paying the bills when before she was married, she was paying all her bills.
now I have limited experience because I've only been divorced a couple of years, but what
Right.
I'm saying is I don't believe I have not run into it. You know, I feel like I gave I put an example the other day. I went out with some chick from Memphis, and you know, she was more of an average chick. You know, I be trying to get dimes all the time, but you know, she was more of an average chick, you know, and she just up and paid the bill. I was like, oh shit, this is not, and it wasn't a small bill. I think it was like $150 plus. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, well shit, okay, good. This is interesting, but it made me feel weird. I mean, I talked to you about it. It made me feel awkward. I was like, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But it's
so
interesting.
so with that said, I've been hearing this a lot too, that, men are feeling that women are losing their sense of, I guess, submission, so to speak, of allowing them to take the lead, of allowing them to be the head, that now they are, hey, we can do it just like you can, and we probably do it better. So men are deciding to go elsewhere, instead of,
elsewhere from women.
Yeah, elsewhere, like you say, elsewhere for women, like Passport Brothers,
Ooh,
they
you
want a
trying to
woman
bring
that's.
They go into other women though. They're not going.
Yeah.
I mean,
They
I want
ain't
to be
going
clear.
gay.
They're still
Ain't
going
no.
to women. As
No,
far as I know, they
say
ain't
gay.
going.
I'm not saying gay. I'm just saying that because they're saying that, like you said, you felt weird. So, because women are a little bit more in the forefront of being, as people would try to say, masculine, or taking on a masculine sort of role by making more money, paying the bills, kind of, in some ways taking the lead. Do you think that's why men are going elsewhere and saying, okay, well, I'm gonna go over here to the other country so that, I can have a more submissive wife, that I don't have a woman that's just pulling out her wallet or her credit card and got it like that?
Okay. Now that's a recent phenomenon. That's recent phenomenon. I'm gonna say women been doing that for 40 years, 50 years. What do you think when Stella got her groove back was? They've been doing that. Black women been doing that forever.
Unmute. See her. See, I need to be able to
Okay.
see y'all.
Yeah.
So it is about it. That's what Nikki was gearing towards without saying it. It is about race. It started off where black men didn't want black women because of blah 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 blah. And now more so, it's still that culture, but it's also American women are not what's up anymore, and that's where this new culture of getting a docile, quiet, traditional woman from another country that they can take care of has become popular.
Yeah, no, that's not a new thing either. That's a white thing. Let me tell you why. Because remember that song "American Woman" that what's his name remade?
Stay away from me. Yeah.
Yeah.
American Woman.
That's the whole song. I don't want no American woman, no white, no black, none of y'all, because y'all too expensive. Fuck y'all, and that's it. Yeah, that's really what he was saying the whole song. Period. And that was right after he divorced Lisa Bonet, old girl from you know who Lisa Bonet is. That was right after he divorced. He remade that song. That was some old white guy song. He remade it, and then it was a big deal. You know what I mean? I didn't realize it at the time, but in recent times I re-listened to it and I was like, well, damn, he really did y'all to your face. All of y'all, not some, not a racial thing.
Right.
Every American woman.
More cooperative.
Yeah. It's a different kind of conversation to have. So
I think I have a problem with. Let's get back to your initial kind of assertion, Kasim, that women created this problem and women need to fix it. And the part that frustrates me is, until all the men can get together and decide what they want, a lot of times little things like, I'm going to tell you what I think of your story that you told about dating a girl. At any given time, we have conflicting messages that we are receiving from men. There's this whole cohort of men out here who hate feminism and hate what feminism has done to our country and want this traditional woman. And so the traditional woman, yes, the traditional woman wouldn't pay. The traditional woman would, let the man lead and provide and all that. Then you've got this whole other cohort of Black men who are like, women are gold diggers, y'all are delusional. Why do you think men should pay for everything? Nobody can afford that in this economy. We need you to work and we need you to pay too. Make up your mind, Because here's the problem, right? At any given time, a woman is going to be very, very confused about what y'all want. Y'all try to say we're so complicated, but just those two conflicting messages are communicated to us almost daily, you know, in society, right? So now we have to try to figure out, which one are you? Are you the one that wants me to help pay? Or you're the one that thinks me helping pay is masculine? Which one are you, right? And we don't know. We don't know, because it's a whole group of y'all that's yelling at the top of your lungs, you need to pay. You need to pay sometimes. Then it's the other group that's saying, oh, these women are so manly. They feel like they don't need me and they can do everything men can do.
This is a systemic problem. This is a systemic problem.
Yes.
Let me tell you why it's a systemic problem, because
I think it's a control problem.
No, it's not about control, because men don't want to control. They don't. Men, it's not about control. They want to be able to protect and provide for their family. So if the woman is providing for the family, then they feel they no longer have the ability to protect. So those things are tied together. But I'm gonna go back to what Kenya was saying. Kenya, those I just lost that little thought for a second, but because Tasaji, man, I lost it for a second. What was the last thing you said? What was the last thing you said, Kenya?
I said that you know, make up your mind between, do you want women to be your partner because a partner shares responsibility, or do you want her to be submissive because the submissive lets you take all the responsibility? So you got to decide, you guys truly want to lead and be the protector and the provider, and if that's the case, you'll get the submissive, but that means you got to handle it all. You can't
and not be mad about it, and not be mad.
No, I don't think. Okay, I agree with that. That's what I'm saying.
Choose when you want a partner and when you want a submissive, because partner and submissive don't go together.
Okay, and I agree with it. That's why I said it's systemic, because the generation that's a little bit younger than me, maybe 30, maybe 20s and 30s, they grew up with single mothers. So they don't have the same values of protecting and providing. Maybe physical protection, they're better, they're still good at, but providing, they are more like, hey, let's go split this bill. But that's also the mother's fault. All of this is the woman's fault on that level. That's also her fault for raising that nigga.
Where was that nigga's dad? Where was that nigga's dad?
Let's tie it in together. Look, I said it's systemic. Sex, unless you're raped, sex is always the woman's choice. So if you pick the bad guy, it's your fault. It's always it always goes back to the woman. The original sin, I don't want to go that far, but goddamn, everything goes back to the woman. You can say no. If he's a dirtbag, say no.
I'm saying you don't want to go back that far, because Adam could have said no, and then we could have been still here.
Let me say this. That's the difference between men and women. I'm sorry to say that. Men are stupid, and men
they
would not say
no.
no.
You don't have to apologize. You know that.
No. Men is not gonna say no. They're not gonna say no to their woman, especially if she know how to ask. Especially if she know how to ask properly. I had a girlfriend I dated in college. I promise you, this woman knew how to speak, and I used to think everything she said was my idea, because he just knew how to ask right. I'm not even lying. It wasn't rude, it wasn't disrespectful. It was just like, damn, I just really want to do this shit. You know what I mean? So women have this ability, and it's a power. It is literally why the world is civilized the way it is. You just don't use it right.
I agree. I agree with you, actually, Kathy.
That part I agree with. However, not all women understand that power, and it is used recklessly in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Right.
So the generalization again is what brings me to the point, because there are women who know their power and they use it for bad, but there are women that know their power and they use it the way that it should be used, to influence, to encourage, to uplift, to provide the man with what he needs.
That's a whole different game, because that's very rare. That's extremely rare, because women are influenced by women. That's why I think this is a woman thing, because women are so influenced by other women that good women do the same stuff that bad women do a lot of times.
Let me ask you something, Kasim.
Yeah.
Do you think, since you have said you had a traditional kind of view of male-female relationships, and I'm just gonna say male-female for this purpose, right?
Yes.
So do you believe, because traditionally this was the case, do you believe that the men should lead? Should the men be the leaders?
Yes, I don't think it's possible to, if men aren't leading, then they're not going to have a family. You're not going to have a family. Yeah.
So when things turned and changed, who was leading?
Capitalism is the problem. High up men, they can pay all of y'all to do the bidding, but they ain't gonna let their wife do what you do. Their wife is staying
Right.
home. There is a
I believe
secret
that.
majority of women who do nothing. Like you see all this diversity in work right now. That diversity tells you that all white women do just like me, black women do just like me, Mexican women do just like me. That's not true. There's a huge, I'm talking about 40% of white women who do nothing but sit at home and do nothing because they man is a capitalist and he's making money off of you.
Big
You
Mama,
are paying.
first of all, I don't agree with you. I'm going to
That's
say
Big Mama.
I believe Black women run the Black community.
No, they run the country.
They do not. We do not. And if we
Look,
did, it would be reflected. We are still the lowest paid.
Money doesn't count
In this country. Hold on. Yes, the hell it doesn't count.
I don't think you understand what he's saying.
I hear
literally,
what he's saying. If we were running things, we would be the second highest paid. So somehow
no.
we somehow
Only people who control will get
paying
paid
to the
is
fact that they're
capitalists.
paying their women more than us.
They're not paying their women a dime. They women get to work off their money. They women don't get paid a dime. They don't get paid a dime. They have to get paid. They have to use their husband's money. They don't get paid a dime. You know what I mean?
No.
I understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
I understand what Kasim's saying. And what he's saying relates more to what is the structure of how things are. And it makes sense. You know, how he explained Big Mama was the one in slavery times that ran the house and told everybody what to do, and they listened to her. You know, she had the authority. Black women, white men have hired Black women, and Black women are not at home taking care of their families. They're out here working, and they're really high up in corporate America.
Because we're not a threat to them.
And they're proud of this, but they're not at home raising their families. And white men have their wives at home raising their families. They don't give a damn about our kids. They gonna make us feel good by giving us good money and letting us be in control of things or whatever. But we're not doing, you know, their women are at home and taking care of their kids.
I am not talking about
that. Is very
I'm not
much
talking
true.
about figurehead. What they've given us is
it's not even a figurehead. It's real power. Like that police people with those 5 guys.
Hold on. What they've given us is the semblance of power. We are being used. Hold on. We are being used to diminish our Black men. That's all that is. They ain't really gave us shit, because the minute they want to take it back, they can take it back.
Oh, they can take it back, but you're using it.
They
If
gave
using
us
it the right
shit.
way.
What they've done is they've elevated us above our men so that we can emasculate our men. Now that is what I believe. We've only got the position higher than Black men in corporate America. If you look at the top of corporate America ranks, if there's a Black person in those C-suite, it's more likely a Black woman than a Black man. Yes, because a Black man is more threatening to white men.
Yeah, absolutely.
Black women are no threat to white men, which is why they can call themselves diverse and place us in high positions and have us emasculate our own men at the same time. It is all, so I agree with you that it's systemic. I don't agree with you that this is our doing. We did not choose this. White men put this shit in place.
Let me say this.
To keep dancing around the fact that it's men who did this. Now, your issue is with white men. Your issue is not with Black women. We didn't choose to be elevated above our men.
You could always say no. That just like the sex thing. You always could say no, and you still said yes. It is your fault because you couldn't say no. You can say, I'm not going to work for you. I'm not working for you.
So we should opt to leave all of our families in poverty because our men.
No, these niggas capitalists got to pay whoever going to work. So if the men, they would just go back and hire the men. That's a fact. If you weren't willing to do the work, they would go back to the men like they did in the 40s and 50s. That's it. They would,
Yeah,
go,
but
they
That
would
I
go
can
pay the
agree with
black
you
man.
with, but I think we're
some
making
women
precedent.
don't
I
have
don't think
someone
our
else that
points
can
are
do
that
that
far
for them. Some women have
And
to
that's
work.
also a choice. That's why when you see the high level white women, that's why I say black women are above white women, because the highest level white woman, she's always single. She's always or she always is she always works 1,000,000 hours and she's single, no fucking kids, because that's how it works. White women who want to have money for themselves, any woman who wants to have money for herself, they gotta forfeit everything else. They gotta, and that's so the few white women that you see at the top, they said, fuck everything else. I want money so I can travel and do whatever I want to do, but they don't got no kids, they ain't got no family, they ain't got shit. And that's just, I'm not caping for them. I don't care what they do. I'm telling you, that's how the win happens. They have to forfeit the idea that if I got a husband, now I got to stay at home. Now I can't go do what I want to do to have all his money, because they do control the money still. They still control the money.
Oh yeah.
But they're making the same sacrifice that the highest level black women make when they're single. They have to be single to do it though. They have to have no kids to do it though. And it's kind of, it's a terrible thing. That's why America is white women, white men, black women, white women, and then every fucking body else. And black men way down here under everybody. You know what I mean? So that's just how it works. How I've seen it from way back in slavery, way back. Big Mama, look, that where they killed the dude, what's his name? Where they killed dude, that's a Big Mama situation. She got all these niggas that work for her, do whatever the fuck she tells them to, and she covered up for them.
Oh,
The police chief, the Memphis police chief. That's real power. And she's doing that to keep her check. That same bra was a police chief in Atlanta. She got ran out of Atlanta. She was a police chief in Atlanta before that. Like 5-6 years ago. And this is, a black man couldn't do it. A foundational black American man couldn't do it. That's why they bring in a lot of these foreign people in here. A foundational black American man would have sympathized with him and probably he would have sympathized with the dude that died. There's no sympathy here. There's no camaraderie here. And they can pay a woman to let that part of her brain go. You know what I mean? They could pay her a couple $100,000 and she'll listen to whatever they want her to do because she got paid enough. You can't pay a man out of that. You can't pay a man out of that.
But see, there's another flip side of this too, that, I don't know this woman's history, but I know that what's to keep a black woman from not looking at these situations and seeing her son, though? She may not be a black man.
Sadly, a lot of black women see their son as crazy.
This is her son. This could be her brother. This could be her son.
A lot of them hate their sons.
Father.
I'm sorry, in the hood, a lot of these women hate their sons. They hate their sons. Trust me. No. These as bad killing each other and the crime is up. They don't. The son is when the son is little until about 11 or 12. Yeah, they love their son. After that, it become a dirty game because when a young,
some of them hate them when they're little. Some of them hate them when they're little. They found a little boy in a suitcase here, and his mother and her girlfriend or whatever put this little baby in a suitcase.
Hey, trust me, I'm scared of them lesbian relationships. That is a scary thing because they really do hate niggas, and they got kids. Oh man, they hate niggas. That's a scary thing for a young boy.
There's a lot of people that hate their kids, and I don't understand that. Like they're so angry and they hate their kids.
And that's part of the thing why it's so important that we have these discussions. I mean, how do we start healing, our children, ourselves, so that we don't show such hate for each other?
Yeah.
And especially for your family, that is a real problem.
And I'll concede that part of the reason why a lot of these women hate their kids is because the father doesn't care about them at all. So those fathers that disappear, they're not physically abusing the child, but they're creating some of the animosity that woman has towards the child. And that's a problem too. That has to all be fixed. That's a man, Nikki, because we said some wild stuff.
What was the last question? Oh, the one we
how do
just
we
talked
heal
about.
the community? Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we start to heal the
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, the community needs a lot of healing. There's so much
Yeah.
that goes
It
on, and
really does.
there's so
Yeah.
many different avenues of healing. You know, one starts at home with, like, you know, like Shidi and Kenya both said, you know, one is with love, education, and one is with love and you know, positive affirmation, but you know, financial things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There are people living in poverty. That you're just born miserable. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I mean, there's a clear divide here of people in economic situations, and it's very disadvantaged. So I think if we take people out of certain situations and put them into another one, it's going to change their whole perspective in life. Like, we need some miraculous things to happen that take people out of poverty, that take people out of these neighborhoods where you're afraid to go get on the bus, or your mama hates you, or you're being abused every day. Like, we got to literally just be freaking bold and change something. There's enough money in America to do it. You know,
It is.
if nothing drastic gets done, it's going to continue to be like this. Like, we can have our families go on and it get better and better for our families, but then we're at the same level as other people. What about the other people that need help? Like, we need to help our people as a
Community.
whole. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we can be in a certain position. So using the term Black isn't bad anymore. You know what I'm saying? That just, it's a
It
big
don't
deal. It's a
sound.
lot. So many
Yeah.
things that can be done.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree.
I truly appreciate my siblings coming on and starting this discussion, starting to work towards actually healing the village, providing, you know, insight and empowerment for not just ourselves and our families, but definitely for the community as a whole. So I thank you so much. And next time we'll continue to have this discussion and further try to come to some resolution. I love you all.
Hey,